You can start using that filter on your screen.
Yeah.
What wrinkles? You can start using that.
All right, Kyle, you may begin whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you, and welcome to everyone to the February 15th, 2023 meeting of the CB6 Executive Committee. My name is Kyle Athide, and I'm the chair of CB6. This meeting is called to order at 6:33 p.m., and tonight we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez. As a reminder to everyone, New York State law now requires all community board members to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. If your camera is not on and your name not properly displayed, you cannot count towards quorum. Tonight's minutes will be taken by CB6 Assistant Secretary Maura Wong. We will now take attendance by roll call, and Jesus will conduct the roll call. So please answer present when your name is called.
Good evening, committee members. I will call your name and you will unmute yourselves. When I call your name, please say present if you are in fact here, and I will announce that there is quorum. Kyle Athide.
Present.
Thank you. Neil Barkley is excused because he is representing CB6 at the Augusta St. Gaudens scoping meeting. LV Barroso.
Present.
Thank you. Claire Brennan. Claire Brennan. Okay, I don't hear or see Claire. B. Disman.
Present.
Thank you. Adam Hartkey. Adam Hartkey. Okay, I don't see Adam either. John Keller is unable to join us tonight. Sandra McKee.
Present.
Thank you. Rich Mintz.
Present.
Thank you. Stephen O.
Present.
Thank you. Reshma Patel. Reshma Patel.
So Claire and Reshma are both running late from work.
Okay.
They informed me, so they should be joining us later.
All right. Matt Roberts.
Present.
Thank you. Sandro Sherrod. Sandro Sherrod.
He was just
Neat.
online.
Oh, his lips are moving.
That sounds like Sandro. The record show that although we cannot hear Sandro, we certainly see him.
You should be able to hear me in just a second.
Now
No,
we
you can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, the amp was off again. Sorry about that. I'm trying to save power here.
Mark Thompson.
Present.
Thank you. Brian Van Nieuwenhoven.
Present.
Thank you. Maura Wong.
Present.
Thank you. With 11 out of 16 members currently present, we do have quorum.
All right, thank you very much, Jesus. So the agenda for tonight's meeting appears on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Members of the executive committee, if you object to adopting this agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the January 18th meeting were distributed to executive committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt these minutes as drafted. Committee members, if you object to adopting these minutes, please raise your hand through Zoom. All right, seeing no objections, the minutes from the January 18th meeting are adopted. So just some ground rules for us to conduct an efficient meeting tonight. First, no one may speak until granted the floor. Committee members, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. As always, the chat function should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. The chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having, or to state in writing information such as an email address or link that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. And then when a committee member is given the floor to speak, I will first identify you and then you can unmute so that you can speak. I will now deliver my chair's report. It'll be very brief, just reiterating what was said last week. So first of all, I want to thank Mark for covering for me at full board last week. You did a wonderful job. And I know the seat is very familiar to you. So thank you once again. Just to remind everyone, the emergency orders extended by the mayor go through February 19th. This has been the case for the past couple of years. So we again will monitor the extensions. We anticipate another one going through the next 30 days as well after that. As a reminder, I testified at the New York State Independent Redistricting Commission at Hunter College last week. We talked about the 36th district. It's the proposed new district that pulls East Midtown and Sutton Place from the 73rd district. We made our case that our Budget and Governmental Affairs Committee put forth in their resolution and our full board voted on, that we don't believe that this makes sense for a number of reasons. So it was very well received by the commission and the public, and we submitted our resolution directly to the committee itself. So we are well represented, but a special thanks to the community advocates, particularly in the Sutton Place community, for their leadership and activism. This is obviously a group effort and could not be done without them. And then lastly, again, just want to thank everyone for attending the winter soiree. It was very fun to get everybody together again for the first time in many, many years. And as we progress and monitor COVID precautions and other things that are popping up, hopefully we'll be able to have more social events going forward. So we'll continue with that as well. And obviously appreciate all of the support and participation from everyone. And that is my report. And so we'll now hear from Jesus Perez, CB6 District Manager.
Thank you, Kyle. Just a few quick things. One, I represented CB6 today at a meeting of the Stuyvesant Square Park operations group. It's a meeting that used to be held much more frequently in past years, every quarter. It sort of fell out of practice and now it's back. Our parks chair wasn't able to go, so I went in his stead and took some notes. So it was a nice opportunity for the stakeholders, the main stakeholders in that park, to reconnect on a more official level on operations matters with the Parks Department. And for us in the CB6 office to reacquaint ourselves also with the concerns that are present there. Additionally, just a sort of a fun aside, check your emails. We sent you guys an opportunity that actually came by way of Mark to tour a sort of site still under construction, not in our district, but it's a sort of treat for community board members. So if you're able to go, I know some people have already RSVP'd, certainly let us know sooner rather than later. And thirdly, I was able to attend the memorial for Carol Schachter that happened last week. Sandra was also there, Mark was also there. Some members former members of Community Board 6, even former staff members of Community Board 6 were also there. So it was nice to see that Community Board 6 was properly represented there. And we're able to pay our last respects to a former board chair and active member of this board. It looks like that's it for me. Unless there are questions, it looks like Mark requests the floor.
Yep, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you all. And I'll lower my hand while I'm at it because I'm so efficient. As I mentioned, the Perlman Center, I think 2 of the dates are already full. I got an email later on. The April date's still available, and there were only a few slots in one of the dates. So you may people may get information back that those dates are full. I know my office is going to go on April 5th or something like that, whatever that date was.
The April date's still available. All the others are full.
Yeah, I think those might be full. Like you could, yeah. She'll let you know.
Yeah, and if anyone runs into issues like that, definitely let us know. Maybe we can just reach out directly to them. So just let us know. I mean,
I
it's
get
also,
a funny feeling that she might actually set one up for us separately. If we have a
yeah, it's also it's funny. It's one of those things that's only a treat to community board members. So,
We're
it's
weird that way. Yeah.
yeah, but no, it is a cool opportunity. So if you can make it, definitely check it out.
I'm sorry, I have a question about it. The email said to respond to this email, so it just goes to the board office, or are we supposed to reach out to someone else as well?
No,
Just
come
the
to
board
us, reply to us, and then we
Okay.
will let the
Thank you.
organizers know. All right, well, if there are no other questions, I yield back the floor.
All right, thank you, Jesus. We'll now jump into our committee agendas for the upcoming month, and we'll start off with transportation.
Well, hello, everyone. We will be busy again. Agenda item number 1 for next month, co-naming for School of Visual Arts. I think this is kind of an unprecedented application because they want East 23rd and 3rd Avenue to be renamed SVA Way. I have not heard of such a thing before, but we will have a committee discussion about that. We talked to the Tudor City Place folks last week. They said that they wanted some clearance in front of their building, and they made a really good case for it, including that there are no curb cuts anywhere to be found on that block because it's a very unusual setup and there's no hydrants or no corners anywhere near the front of the building. They were unable to recommend to us an actual designation that they wanted, but we did some research and we may have something for them next month. We will continue to discuss and present a resolution on, oh, that just went away. Barriers on the pedestrian refuges on 2nd Avenue in the 20s and 19th Street. We'll re-raise the discussion of the 3rd Avenue upgrades and see if we want to recommend a resolution to the full board for making a revised statement about what we want. We'll present some resolutions about 57th and 1st. We will try to pick up e-mobility and e-bikes and mopeds again. And that's about it. Anyone have any questions for me?
Just a question from me. I'll follow up by email, Brian, about the like symposium that we want to do.
Right, the
I'll
FDR
follow up
thing.
on that. Yeah, so I'll follow up on that.
I've been handling that as that's like kind of my own initiative. I have shared some stuff about this with some members of the committee, but not committee business, but relevant to the topic area. We want to move forward a symposium. I've had some people reach out to me about programming suggestions. We're still trying to put that together, but we're looking at kind of a little bit of a longer timeline on that. And we definitely need to come up with some definite programming for such a symposium. Like I said, the original format of having open speakers and having interested groups that deal with transportation planning in the region, they were all just going to come as spectators and nobody was going to actually speak, and that's not really productive. So we'll find a way to remediate that.
All right, sounds good. I see a hand up from Sandy. Sandy, go ahead.
Have to unmute. I was just wondering if things are moving ahead with the request to have the dedicated parking for St. Martin's Park in front of the park on 2nd Avenue or 1st Avenue.
Yes.
Have you heard back from?
They're pushing forward with that, or they're checking into when it's going to be implemented. So they have that recommendation from us, and they didn't have any pushback or any announcement that it couldn't be done. I think it had just gotten installed in machinery at DOT.
So is that like maybe old business or something in your meeting?
Yeah, we brought it up during the last meeting, so they're moving forward on it. We actually have Brendan on an email chain with them moving forward with that. So that's how we're handling it for now, but we will continue to press on it for sure. One of the things is when we do periodical committee reviews, we'll definitely look at that agenda item and see if that has not been addressed in the next 2 or 3 months, we'll bring it back up again proactively.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'm seeing no further questions for Brian. Jesus, do you have anything?
I'll be honest, I could barely hear Brian. I can hear everybody fine, but I could barely hear Brian. So I guess so as not to delay the meeting anymore, if there are any action items for the office, Brian, just send them to me by email and to Brendan. Otherwise, no questions.
Oh yeah, I just had a short explainer for where we were on each item, but and a lot of this stuff carried over from last month where we had the beginning of the discussion. Can you hear me better now? I'm like kind of.
Not really. It's very faint, but we'll move on. And if there's something for the office, then you can let me know by email.
Okay, nothing for now.
Thank you.
Jesus, can we actually go to bylaws because I didn't have it on my list?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. That was.
No, it's fine. B, do you have anything to add?
So Carl, yeah, just a reminder to everyone on the committee, please look at the bylaws that was sent for the office. Please look at the resolution. We are requesting that everything be back by the 27th so that we could meet on that Wednesday and finalize them. I looked at the air table. I didn't see a lot of comments yet. So I would appreciate if all of the members of the executive committee had actually looked at it and let us know what they thought. Thank you, Carl. And Mark did a great job in getting the bylaws on the agenda next meeting.
Fantastic. And thank you, Mark, again. And yeah, just as a reminder to everyone, this is your opportunity to review the bylaws and to put your full thoughts down. Let's not wait until it comes up for a vote in full board to have a committee discussion. You'll be able to provide your feedback ahead of time, ahead of the March 1st meeting, and discuss it at that committee meeting before it comes up to the full board. So please utilize that opportunity. All right, so we'll move on forward. We'll talk to Neil offline about environment and parks, and then we'll move to Elvie, Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Carl. Good evening, everyone. In our last meeting, we had a presentation on the spatial equity tool designed by Transportation Alternatives and MIT. And we also had presentation from NYU Langone on a medical study on lung donation. And both presentations were well received. So in March, we have two agenda. The first one is the discussion on including EpiPen injection as part of the EMT bag. So we will try to draft a resolution on that. And also the second agenda is the planning for the spring 2023 Community Board 6 Health Fair. I am waiting for Jesus to make a final decision when it comes to the site. And that's all for me.
All right, thank you, Elvie. Just a reminder, if you could have a drafted resolution about the EpiPens, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think that we'll be able to move that, along pretty fast during the meeting itself. But thank you for raising that issue. I think many of us did not know that it wasn't already part of the EMT bag. I think everyone kind of assumed. So thank you for raising that issue.
Yeah, so we will try to draft one.
Are there any questions for Elvie from the committee? Seeing none, Jesus?
No questions for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Elvie, and we'll continue to work offline on that fair and finding a suitable site.
Thank you.
We'll move on to budget and governmental affairs. Was Reshma able to make it? Yes, Reshma, go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. I am on the street, so if you can't hear me, I apologize. I got delayed in another meeting, but we had our meeting on Monday night where we had a representative from the Kruger's office come speak, and we passed a resolution in favor of supporting a bill that Senator Kruger has introduced to reform the Board of Elections, which changes the process of how commissioners are appointed, as well as changes the number of commissioners from 10 to 2, with the idea being that this will help streamline things at the Board of Elections and improve how New Yorkers are able to vote. For our March meeting, I had reached out to our elected to come up with things that we should discuss on the governmental affairs side. And Assemblymember Epstein had mentioned a bill that he's working on, which is for the legalization of basement apartments, which stems from when Hurricane Ida happened. There were several people who died because they were living in illegal apartments. And the idea being that if we legalize them, then they're be up to code and we could avoid such a disaster in the future, as well as it's a way to create perhaps more affordable housing units in the city. And tentatively, the assembly members scheduled to speak at our next meeting, but I reached out to Rich in Housing Committee, and also Sandy in Land Use have already been talking about this in part of the review of the city and state housing proposal. So we may move that and perhaps have a joint meeting, or it might move to one of the other committees. So I think that, oh, we also got a response on our budget request, and most of the items that we requested, they say unable to fund at this time, but there's something that we asked for, which was making sure all the sidewalks are ADA accessible and the subway stations ADA accessible, which the city has said that they're going to be working on, as well as for supportive housing. They mentioned, the new shelter that they're building on 45th Street, which is not, we want more than that, but there were a few items where they actually did respond to us in detail, which is more than what we've gotten in the past. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, so I see a hand up from Rich, and Rich, I don't know if you're going to address this, but just wondering, because I followed the email thread, but I didn't see any follow-up on whether it was going to be on your agenda or not. Because I know we had actually started this discussion in your committee after item. So yeah, go ahead.
I mean, we can hash this out when we come to me and Sandy later in this meeting. But either Sandy's committee or my committee will be doing a workshop and conversation about the state and city and borough presidents' housing plans. And if we want to fold this in, we can. I don't want to throw away the chance to have Harvey Epstein at a meeting, though. So if you've got him confirmed for the 13th, I don't object to having that go ahead, and either I or Abby will come to the meeting and participate so that we can go back to the housing and land use with details. So it's up to you.
Yeah, no, so since he's confirmed, I won't then change it. And just from Harvey's point of view, he would have actually even had liked to have come to our February meeting, but I thought it was too soon to do that because he wants to get this bill through before the end of session. So if we keep it any later than March 13th, it's a little later, and he wants to just show that there's community support for this.
Well, if you decide to do a resolution based on that, we'll co-sponsor it. There's no need to hold it up. Although I guess it's going to be too late for March full board anyway by then.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
the March full board, I think will be our meeting is on Monday, and I think the full board will be that Wednesday.
No, it's a previous
no, you're right.
Yeah.
It's previous Wednesday because of the way the calendar is. So that's true. So we actually, I'll have to talk and think about that. Then we're not going to be able to get it done maybe before the end of session anyway.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can also always, if we want to, just add it to one of our meetings that are upcoming, whether it's land use or housing, and get it in for the March full board. And we can add it as business or.
Yeah, and I can check with Harvey to see if he's available on other dates, if people have other dates in mind.
We have no housing.
Okay.
Because
so it would have to be land use.
Yeah, we can talk with Sandy. We'll talk during, or you have your hand up, so go ahead. Actually, because I know yours is on the 7th.
And I just wanted to note that Reshma shared some of the issues about this. It's a pilot project in certain parts of the city, and I'd love to know how many buildings have actually gone ahead and done this, because
5.
it's 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
it's so difficult because they're looking for sprinklers in any renovated basement apartment, which is extremely expensive and probably not going to happen in the majority of these locations. So it's a really nuanced item. I mean, it's a great idea, but it's difficult to do with under the current program. So there's a lot of things probably to discuss. And it would be really great to have a little more investigation of what's involved and maybe some alternate things. I mean, as Reshma said, we probably don't have a lot of basement apartments in our district. We must have some, but
Well, we
under
know
the
we have,
current,
we know we have
Hmm.
some because we had people who were flooded
yes,
on
yeah.
the Far East Side.
So it would be worth trying to get a program that would really work well for our neighborhood. I mean, installing sprinklers is incredibly costly job for any homeowner. So, yeah, that's just it. So I mean, we have a pretty, I'll let it go with that. Sorry to bring it, but it's,
No.
it does, yeah.
No, I mean, Sandy, that's a good point. And this has been so just to give some background to other people, this has been a test program in Brownsville and East New York. And as Rich said, only 5 apartments have been done. But part of that was because this test program started in 2019 and then the pandemic happened. But I think you bring up a good point, Sandy, and it would be good to hear from Harvey or, there's a community group that the city has worked with in East New York. So we could I'll reach out to them and see if they have any information on what has prevented them from it, because right now it doesn't seem like a successful test pilot program.
Yeah,
That would be,
oh, go ahead. Cindy.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that would be great. And I think it'd be really good to hear from Harvey as well. Like if he
Yeah.
can attend, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very strong proponent of this. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
those
we
will
should
be
do our own
questions.
research.
Yeah, those will be
Mhm.
good questions to ask. And I just sent that thread, the article, that out of 8,000 houses in Brooklyn, that only 5 participated. So it'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
why and what the big pushback is from Harvey, and you can take it from there. But in terms of this, is everyone okay with putting it on the 13th? Or Sandy, would you like to start it off like maybe during a new business during your 27th, or you just have too much going on to add this whole other thing to?
I think we could bring it up as new business, and certainly people who are interested could then contribute and go to the meeting. We could encourage people to do that. I think that would be good. I'm not sure I don't know that we can accommodate Harvey at our meeting.
Yeah.
But certainly we could ask people to get involved and do some research and ask good questions.
Yeah, and so for Rich and Reshma, since the 13th is after our March full board anyway, Reshma, do you want to see like if he has earlier times or something like that? And then since the 13th and the 20th doesn't affect when this would come before full board, would you want to take that to housing
Yeah, but we're not having a meeting
in March?
before. Oh, in March.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
we-
saying, yeah, because I'm saying if we still stick with the 13th, that's still
Yeah.
after March full board anyway.
Oh, okay, so why not? Yeah.
So why not add housing on the 20th instead?
I mean, I have no objection to taking it in housing. I just don't want to take Harvey away from restaurant.
Yeah, so Reshma, could you just follow up with them and see if they are available on the 20th? And if it's not possible, then Rich, if you're okay with that, then you can attend on the 13th and then bring it to housing on the 20th and say this is what passed, we can
Yeah.
endorse or something.
Yeah, I'll check with him and I'll let you know. I mean, as they get closer to the 31st, as you know, when the budget negotiations happen in Albany, he'll probably be busier, is what he had said, but I'll ask him.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and the way to
Yeah.
leave it for Jesus is that whichever one of us doesn't take it, the other one will take it.
So Jesus, for your purposes, let's keep it on the 13th for now with budget. And Reshma will follow up. Yeah, and if you could CC us on that, Reshma, just so we're all in the loop. If Harvey says he can make it on the 20th, we'll put it as part of housing and take it off budget and governmental affairs. If he says we can't do it, then we'll just have it stay on the 13th and Rich will add it to his 20th.
Right,
Reshma,
sure, I will. Oh, pardon, Jesus, yes.
Reshma, do you plan to figure this out in the next few days? Because if it's in the next few days, maybe even the next week, I'll just hold off on posting this agenda, so we don't have to like post it with you and then take it off, and then that way nobody will be confused.
Yeah, I could email Harvey first thing tomorrow morning. I won't bother him tonight with it, but I'll do it first thing in the morning.
Okay, so we post this budget agenda as written. Once you get back to me about whether Harvey can come to March 20th's housing meeting, then then I'll just move it over to housing. Or I'll leave it with you depending on what you tell me.
Okay.
Okay, great. Are there any further questions for the committee? Sandy, I saw your hand up. Do you have a additional comment?
No, I was just going to say we may want to wait to see because Rich and I are talking about agenda for both of our committees for the next month. So, but it's okay. We'll get there.
Yeah,
Thanks.
figure it out. All right. And Jesus, you're all set?
And if I heard also correctly, land use and waterfronts February meeting, new business will offer a sneak peek or small taste of this particular agenda topic. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, great. So we'll now move on to public safety. Matt, go ahead.
All right, still a couple of moving parts here, 'cause we have our meeting tomorrow night. And it doesn't look like DHS is gonna present as they told us in January that they would. So I believe I'm leaning towards laying that item over to March. Just waiting for Brendan to confirm that they are actually going to attend in March. Because it seems like they're not very reliable and it might be a stall tactic on that part. This of course is referring to the security discussions at the New Providence Women's Shelter on 45th Street. So I would say tentatively we will add that to March and be laid over tomorrow. Then the other item here, which Jesus already has, is referring to another piece of legislation that the state legislature is battling with the governor on, as far as religious rights. So I think, and that's actually going to be introduced as new business tomorrow. Other than that, that's I think all I have prior to tomorrow's meeting. Questions?
Right. Were you able to connect with Isabel from the NYCLU about the SRG program?
I have not. The way I interpreted that is that she was going to respond to your email, which I was copied on. So if I need to get in touch with her, we can. But
if she hasn't responded to you, then that's fine. But if she does, I think that'd be an interesting thing to have. Yeah, as mentioned, I didn't promise anything about resolutions or anything like that, but they do want to educate about what the program is. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's the Strategic Response Group you might have heard of with the NYPD. And the Adams administration had mentioned that there was a list of 20 precincts where the strategic response groups would be deployed, 2 of which actually border ours. So it's not directly in, but apparently they would have jurisdiction to go into other precincts. So they do want to sort of do a little bit of know your rights about the program. They do have a campaign to disband the unit that has been signed by a lot of community groups and some elected officials. That's not the purpose of their presentation to us, although I'm sure they will mention it. But this is more of a know your rights and understanding of how this actually operates. You might remember that this unit was started in 2015, and it is a volunteer unit with policing protests across New York City. So there is some civil liberties, civil rights issues at hand here as well. That'd be interesting to hear about from the NYCLU. So they reached out to us because of concern, but if they haven't responded yet, we'll just wait and see what they do.
Yeah, if they respond, we'll slot them in either in March or April, depending on availability.
All right, great. And Jesus, do you have any further questions?
No, my understanding is that we are going to hold off on posting this public safety agenda until we give DHS a little bit more time to get back to us. And if they confirm for March, then we'll put them up there in March. If they back out subsequently, you can always remove them, but let's give them a few more days since they're still about a month out we'll wait a few more days to post it and see if we hear back from them before then.
Okay, that sounds good to me. All right, we'll move on to Rich and Sandy. Do you want to do this jointly or individually?
Yeah, I mean, let me start, Sandy, and then I'll bounce to you, okay? Because first I want to say that for the first time in recorded history, because of a quirk of the calendar, Housing has already had its February meeting at the time that we come to February exact. So congratulations to us. We had it on January 30th, so we kind of cheated. But we actually had a good spirited substantive discussion on two issues, one being ways that we can provide better information to tenants about their rights or support doing that. And the other, we did a sort of preview discussion of the housing proposals by the governor, the borough president, and we talked a bit about the mayor's, the zoning text amendments that have already been handled in land use. What I have, Sandy reached out to talk about collaborating on talking about the borough president's proposals, and assuming that no one objects, I'd like to roll the state proposals into to make it a single conversation, since we as a board haven't expressed any point of view on the state housing proposals that the governor put in her State of the State address. And what Sandy proposed is some sort of either collaborative work session or presentation that is joint between the committees. I wrote up, Jesus, I emailed this to you this morning. I wrote up potential language for an agenda item, but now I'm going to bounce to Sandy to see where she stands on it. Just noting that we don't have anything on the agenda that's will lead to a reso as of right now, so we can take this in housing if you want us to take it in housing.
And I say we don't have anything specifically on land use agenda either. So it's really a matter of we've had a few meetings that were off of our standard, and we were having a little bit of trouble getting quorum. So this would be another meeting where we would be shifting our schedule.
I mean, you honestly, you tell me what you want to do. I'm available both of those Mondays and will attend, and I think we probably can get quorum for our committee on either day.
If you can, that would be great. I would appreciate it doing it at our standard meeting time, just again, because we've had these few meetings where we didn't have quorum.
So just to make sure I understand, you're suggesting that we combine the two committee meetings into one meeting and we hold it on March 27th at your normal meeting time?
Yes, please.
I mean, Jesus, is there a standard procedure for floating this to the committee regarding their ability to make it for quorum?
What I think, what is easier from a record keeping standpoint is to let land use meet on its normal night, and then strongly encourage all the housing committee members to attend that night to participate in the discussion. And then maybe canceling the housing committee meeting for March, or you have it and just discuss it some more. If you try to have the housing committee members on another day, then they're excused anyway. So you can't compel them to be there.
All right.
So that's from a record keeping standpoint. I mean, I know that may not be the best reason for all of you, but
no, I mean, honestly, I don't want to. I don't want to have a situation where we don't get housing people, and I also don't want to have a situation where we don't have quorum to take action as the housing committee. I just don't. I also don't want to make people attend 2 weeks in a row, because a lot of them won't. Kyle, what do you recommend as you look at this situation? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just thinking of like what's most effective. I mean, I don't know if you just want to cancel the meeting and have everyone go to land use or have your joint meeting be the land use meeting.
I mean, we do have some stuff to talk about in housing, which is the other topic, the tenant support topic.
Another way you could do this too is like similar to kind of the model we were talking about before, is that if you discuss it at your meeting, get something passed or have some sort of sentiment, then you can then represent the committee as the chair at the land use meeting and speak on behalf of the committee.
I would like that idea better if the meetings were reversed, because Sandy has more expertise than I do about the issues, and so I'm afraid that we would come up with questions that I couldn't answer in the course of that conversation. So I mean, I guess I don't know what to suggest.
And sorry, Reshma just pointed out that we were, this is why I thought we should wait to discuss Harvey, because he may be coming on the 20th. So
yeah,
maybe I suggest we leave Harvey at the budget affairs. And
have you done
I know,
have you done the state or the borough president stuff in your committee yet?
no, not yet.
All right, well, I mean, why don't we just put that on the agenda of your committee? Strongly encourage our committee members to also attend that meeting, and indicate to our committee members that if a resolution comes out of that, we might try to call a quick off-schedule caucus to discuss it. Like, is that a thing we can do? Because I'd be happy to co-sponsor a resolution. I don't know if the timing would work.
And, you know,
it's
if-
harder to do, I'm sorry, in Zoom land, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's arguable whether from an open meeting standpoint, it's actually a legit thing, but it's
Yeah.
something this board has done for many, many years. I will also point out, while it's a nice idea for as many committees as possible to co-sponsor resolutions together, once it actually passes full board,
It's true. It's the same.
it's
the same.
And actually, we could, if you want to discuss the tenant rights, we could add that to the agenda for land use and discuss it there as well. You know, so you don't need to take it off of your agenda. We could just add it to ours.
I'm just, you mean, well, I mean, if we're meeting anyway, then on the 20th for Harvey, we might as well put it on our agenda at both meetings.
And sorry, can't we leave Harvey on the 13th and do our business together on the 27th?
It sounds like there would be issues there might be issues getting a quorum for housing.
Here's what we can do in terms of that. If we want to make the 27th, we can, since we're still like a month ahead of this, not a poll or message to your committee stating this idea that we're going to meet on the 27th with land use.
We think it would be productive to do it this way, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the same day of the week,
Yeah.
so it may not alter people's schedules too much. So we can put that out there, see what the response is, and if it's cataclysmic to the point that people just can't make it, then we can kind of take steps from there. But because we're ahead of time, we can kind of like say, like, we're giving you enough notice about when we're changing this, so you'd have to show up on the 27th, not the 20th. And of course the board office would send reminders and things of that nature. And if the response is cold, that not enough people are going to make it, then we can kind of figure out their approach to this on the 20th.
Okay.
Mhm.
I really would like to do a joint meeting. So I would like that idea. Sandy, what do you think?
I think it would be really helpful because we need to hear, the housing, we need to know the input from your committee to really make an informed decision.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
So let's try that. Yeah, let's send out an email to the committee, to Rich's committee tomorrow, stating this idea because of the nature of this issue. So what I think that'll mean is we'll keep Harvey on the 13th with budget. So no need to confuse his schedule or anything like that. And then hopefully the idea is that you'll have a joint meeting on the 27th. And if for some reason, people, we'll ask them to confirm that they can make the 27th. And if for some reason they do not, then, we can take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds okay with me. So Sandy, I'll pass to you with the permission of the chair for the rest of your report.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, and we haven't had our meeting yet, so, but now we're confirming March's agenda, I guess, Jesus, if that's,
Well,
we're doing it early.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. If I can, all right. Budget will keep the appointment that they have with Harvey to discuss his bill. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so that will stay there. It will not go to housing. So currently, March 20th, housing has nothing on the agenda officially. And now we're back at March 27th, land use. And it might be a potential joint meeting if schedules can work out.
Yeah, and I have language for that, which I will put in the chat in a minute.
Okay.
Right. And I think we encourage both land use and housing committee members to attend Reshma's meeting
Mm-hmm.
to have input and maybe come up with questions and some, ideas prior to her meeting.
Agreed.
So I'm putting in the chat language that you can work with Sandy right now. And what it is for the record is joint review with the Land Use Committee of proposals by Borough President Levine, Governor Hochul, and Mayor Adams that would facilitate faster permitting and construction of housing in New York City.
Mhm.
And we can drop out Adams since that's already been handled if Sandy wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll put joint
it's all related, so it's
Yeah.
fine to leave it in, I think.
joint
Reshma?
review with the Housing and Homelessness Committee, because this
Yes.
is sort of at land use, so you guys would be the guests essentially,
Yes.
of proposals by Borough President Levine, Governor Hochul, and Mayor Adams that would facilitate faster permitting and construction of housing in New York City.
Sandy, how do you feel about that at the end of that sentence?
Yeah, it's great. It's a really wide topic. So it may not get resolved in one meeting, I guess, is just,
Yeah.
there's a lot to cover. The three different proposals are all different in some ways.
Yeah, I did a summary rundown in our committee last meeting, which I'll send you. And if
Great.
you want, we can work on an agenda for this together.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Reshma, you have something?
I was gonna ask, I don't know if it'd be helpful for land use and housing if we also, for our meeting, got someone from a nonprofit who's working on not just the basement issue, but tenants' rights issues and affordable housing issues to come speak. And then that would inform your members who come to those meetings in advance of when you hear from the electeds.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Sandy.
I was just going to say, I think for the specific issue that that's in the bill, that may not be as helpful because it is so very specific. If maybe we could get someone who was actually assisting in the program right now out in I guess it's at East Bushwick where it's going ahead, East New York. So that might be, if we could find someone in that case, that might be really helpful.
Okay, so I would, like I said, I was going to reach out and try to do some research on this. And so that's why I was asking. When I do that, I'll try to see if we can get another speaker as well.
Yeah, great. Sounds good. Thank you.
Mhm. Anything else on this? I will say I will encourage other members of the executive committee and your committees to attend this as well, because it does impact a lot of these other issues, whether it's green space or transportation or anything else like that. So definitely feel free, even though you're not compelled to attend this meeting, please do come and voice your concerns about how it impact your committee's interest.
And Rich, just so I'm super clear, the ultimate goal is to cancel your individual March 20th meeting and instead have it on March 27th. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
But the way it needs to be phrased in the email is, changing our meeting date so that we can have a shared joint meeting, not canceling, like meet on this day instead, because we have a member or two who are very sensitive about not wanting to have meetings canceled because they feel there is a lot to cover. So
Okay.
I don't want it to be, ideally, it wouldn't be portrayed as a cancellation, but as a movement of the date so that we can have a more substantive conversation about a shared issue.
Okay, got it.
Agreed. Okay, and Sandy, you're all set with your section?
I think so. We had the Carlton Regency Corp, which is, they're revising their plaza to make it closed to the public on the same schedule as what the POPs are, the publicly owned private spaces. And this space actually used to be a city bike location, and they've gradually pulled back and made it less and less public. So mostly we just want to hear why. And it seems like sort of a bad precedent to be closing it down.
And yeah, especially since that's a particularly nice public space, like. Ugh.
Well, it's covered, it's under the building, but yes, we want to know why they're doing it. They say it's for safety, public safety, for the building. But I think it'd be good to have a little bit of a pushback to find out why they're doing it. But that would be our only agenda item so far. As well as then the discussion about the.
This is our first BSA application in quite some time. After the 2021 Health and Fitness zoning text amendment passed, the number of BSA applications in the form of physical culture establishments went down because we won't be getting those anymore. So just to note that this was our first one in quite a while.
And I must say that's a great change. It was such a waste of time to listen to those cultural establishments, but it's all good.
Sure.
And that's it, I think.
Okay.
Can I do some more?
So we'll connect with John on youth and education, and we'll go to Claire with business affairs and licensing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep, so we will be seeing any applicants that are coming up. This is for March. And the same goes for February, which is next week. So Jesus, if I owe you an email, let me know.
I owe you one, you owe me one, but I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Thank you. But I don't really have anything on the agenda. Otherwise, once I think we might, maybe I'll just bring it up in old business, the marijuana enforcement topic, because we did, have a discussion last meeting and it was kind of to be continued still. So I don't have to put that on the full agenda, but I'll bring it up. Other than that, I think that's all from me.
Okay. Great.
I'm sorry I was late.
No, you're fine.
I made it.
Jesus, are you all set?
Yes.
Okay, so we've now arrived.
Sandy has her hand up, sorry.
Sandy, go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Hand.
Yeah, sorry to be so questioning tonight, but I was wondering we had talked a little bit about the open restaurants issue, if that's it, and whether we would bring it up again or be supportive of it. Do you know if that's moving in your committee at all?
Let me check in with Anton. I haven't talked to him in a while and I meant to. So we can bring that up again. Yeah, I think at the last exec, we mentioned that maybe it was worth revisiting. I think that was the consensus. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I will this time.
Okay. So we're now at older new business. If any committee member has any older new business, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no further business, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:28 p.m. All right. Thank you, everybody. Very efficient meeting.